We are live. So I saw this video the other day and it brought to life an idea that I've had for a while. Now, the video is called, I didn't even fucking click on it, but FBI issues dramatic public warning. Chinese hackers are preparing to wreak havoc on the US. So I've had this thought for a fucking minute, so this video hit. Now, I haven't seen this message pushed out from the US ever. Before getting into all that this motherfucker has to say, the actual FBI director, my idea started a while ago and for two reasons. The first one was this old guy. I'm chopping it up with this super old dude, wrinkled as fuck, but cool as fuck because he has one of the Navy veteran hats on, so you already know he just keeps it real. But this guy was cool as fuck. He has hella money now, I guess. But he was always pushing one thing on me throughout the entire hour conversation, and it was gold. The actual precious metal. He said buy it in ounces, small increments, anything. He gave me the whole fucking game on gold. So naturally, I asked him how he feels about cryptocurrency because I fuck with it. And he planted a seed that ties into all this shit. He basically just said, it's cool. The idea is all right. It's global, which is cool. But what if China, and he specifically said China, drops an EMP bomb, whatever the fuck that is, over the United States and cuts out all internet, all electrical devices, then you're all broke if you have crypto because you have no more access to it, whatever. It was a long shot idea, but I entertained it because it's hella realistic. So that ties into the second point, which is a little bit more recent, that's planted another seed on the same fucking topic, and that was the movie on Netflix called Leave the World Behind, some shit like that. But that entire movie was dope as fuck to me because the idea was dope. They did it hella well. But it's funny because the FBI director and what he says here is literally describing the plot of that fucking movie. So it hits hard. I really just want to jump right into it so we can talk about this shit because it's kind of fire and this video doesn't have a lot of views. So I think more niggas need to know for real. All right, so this video does come from CNN. So take it with a grain of salt. It was like a full 2-hour interview or meeting, but they just took out this 8 minutes of it. And I'm really just going to go through the dope parts. So let's just start it from the top.
FBI Director Christopher Wray sounding the alarm over China. Let's listen.
That threaten American safety and prosperity. Before I go on, I do want to make very clear that my comments today are not about the Chinese.
Yeah, he does his little political shit. It's not the Chinese people, it's Beijing.
Rather, when I talk about the threat posed by China, I mean the government of China, in particular led by the CCP. The CCP's dangerous actions, China's multi-pronged assault on our national and economic security, make it the defining threat of our generation.
Wait, hold up. See, I haven't done this at all, but I want to see what the CCP means, honestly. Like, what does that stand for? Oh, Chinese Communist Party. Okay, that makes sense. So with that being said, let's continue.
Now, when I described the CCP as a threat to American safety a moment ago, I meant that quite literally. There has been far too little public focus on the fact that PRC hackers are targeting our critical infrastructure, our water treatment plants, our electrical grid, our oil and natural gas pipelines, our transportation systems, and the risk that poses to every American requires our attention now.
And that's the first fucking point that makes me think and take this shit so deep, because if you think about it, the United States, we're the big dog, always have been. So no one's really fucked with us. I think that is because they can't fuck with us. With that being said, how do you take down the big dog, right? Because nobody's invincible. So you can't beat us with war, bombs and shit, because we got the most. We have the highest military budget out of the next 10 most populated or whatever biggest countries. Out of them all together, United States is still bigger than all of them. With that being said, they can't fuck with us with fighting. So They got to kind of destroy us from the inside out. And that's what this shit sounds like. That's our biggest weakness in terms of how another nation or superpower can like actually do damage, is by fucking with the people at the base level. He talks about it a little bit more, but that's just a point that I always thought about. Because we're not invincible, how could someone come and fuck us up? Shutting down the communication. And infrastructure, that's fucking crazy, but he talks about it more.
China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens and communities if and when China decides the time has come to strike.
Gotta pause that shit again real quick, because that's what the whole Netflix movie that I mentioned was about. Like, imagine no internet, no communication. It's just you, your neighbors, and everybody else in the dark. That would cause like civil war so fast. I don't know if it's like a war because it's side versus side, but just chaos, honestly. So I think that's just a really smart way to take out some niggas like us, the big dogs. But it's just crazy to think and consider it to be a reality type shit.
They're not focused just on political and military targets. We can see from where they position themselves across civilian infrastructure that low blows aren't just a possibility in the event of a conflict. Low blows against civilians are part of China's plan. But the PRC's...
Oh shit, real quick. This Indian nigga, bro, that was me when I was first watching this video. I'm like, bro, locked in. This nigga's locked in. I don't like how she got her eyes down. There's a couple other niggas in the actual Congress that like don't really be giving a fuck about what he's saying, but this nigga, that's me right there, locked the fuck in.
Cyber onslaught goes way beyond pre-positioning for future conflict. Today, and literally every day, they're actively attacking our economic security, engaging in wholesale theft of our innovation and our personal and corporate data. Nor is cyber the only PRC threat we face. The PRC cyber threat is made vastly more dangerous by the way they knit cyber into a whole-of-government campaign against us. They recruit humans.
That's lit. The Chinese government has a whole section of the government funded by the government to infiltrate United States intelligence. It's kind of lit, but them niggas been trying for a while and we're super behind. He breaks it down more and better.
Sources to target our businesses, using insiders to steal the same kinds of innovation and data that their hackers are targeting, while also engaging in corporate deception, hiding Beijing's hand in transactions, joint ventures, and investments to do the same. And they don't just hit our security and economy, they target our freedoms, reaching inside our borders across America to silence, coerce, and threaten some of our citizens and residents. But I can assure you, the FBI is laser-focused on the threat posed by Beijing. We've got cyber, counterintelligence, criminal, and WMD experts, just to name a few.
Low-key, I do have to give the credit that these niggas are actually saying something instead of just leaving us in the complete dark. I just want to say that real quick. Like, shout out this nigga.
Defending against it. And we're working in partnership with the private sector, partnership with our allies abroad, and partnership at all levels of the U.S. government, especially the NSA, Cyber Command, CISA, and ONCD, whose leaders I'm honored to be here with today. In fact, just this morning,
I'm glad them niggas on it though, for real.
We announced an operation where we and our partners identified hundreds of routers that had been taken over by the PRC state-sponsored hacking group known as Volt Typhoon. The Volt Typhoon malware enabled China to hide, among other things, pre-operational reconnaissance and network exploitation against critical infrastructure like our communications, energy, transportation, and water sectors. Steps China was taking, in other words, to find and prepare to destroy or degrade the civilian critical infrastructure that keeps us safe and prosperous.
with him saying all this shit, it is kind of lit to think about that they're literally doing that shit. It's not an idea. It's not, oh, they might be able to someday. These niggas, he's saying like every single day they're fucking trying. So, of course, it seems like it's, or it could be in its infancy, whereas it hasn't been for too long. However, as time goes on, them niggas keep trying. I'm sure they're going to fucking get something done.
To quantify what we're up against, the PRC has a bigger hacking program than that of every major nation combined. In fact, if you took every single one of the FBI's cyber agents and intelligence analysts and focused them exclusively on the China threat, China's hackers would still outnumber FBI cyber personnel by at least 50 to 1.
When I heard that shit, it put everything into perspective. Because like I said, there's literally a fact that the United States military, Navy, everything is the biggest in the world. However, if you compare that with all the other nations, add them all together, we're still the biggest. Like nobody would ever beat us. Think about that in terms of a hacker squad that's ran by the government. That's China. They're the big dogs when it comes to hacking shit. I mean, little niggas, of course, they can't fight, so they gotta do something else. They just gotta be smart, outwit the big dude. So that's just lit. They're on the opposite end of the spectrum, but since we're so geared toward that in terms of people and fucking humanity, in terms of technology, all that, they're ahead. And I'm sure they could fuck us up real soon. That's why low key. Well, let me finish the video and then I'll talk about my plans with all this shit.
So as we sit here, while important budget discussions are underway, I will note that this is a time to be keeping ahead of the threat by investing in our capabilities rather than cutting them. We need to ensure that we sustain and build on the gains that we've made that have enabled us to take actions like the Volt Typhoon operation I just mentioned. The budgets that emerge from discussions underway now will dictate what kind of resources we have ready in 2027, a year that, as this committee knows all too well, the CCP has circled on its calendar.
That's crazy. 2027 is when this nigga said they're going to do something, I guess. Oh, yeah, what he was saying before, to me, it sounds like he's really putting this out in the public with the congressional hearing so that they can get funding, no fucking doubt. If Congress does not give funding to them, they lose the public battle, essentially. But that's just wild. That's probably the only reason why we're hearing about it, just so these niggas can get more money for their cause and plan, which is valid, of course. I would hope they would give these niggas all the money they need, but just interesting. We probably wouldn't know about that shit unless they came out on TV asking for more bread from Congress.
And that year will be on us before you know it. As I've described, the PRC is already today putting their pieces in place. I do not want those watching today to think we can't protect ourselves. But I do want the American people to know that we cannot afford to sleep on this danger. As a government and a society, we've got to remain vigilant and actively defend against the threat that Beijing poses.
So that's basically all bro had to say. However, when you think of the solution or what can I do as a citizen in an event like he's talking about, that China comes through, knocks down infrastructure, communication, oil lines, water lines, all the bullshit, I just have to think about what can I do to safeguard myself and the people I care for. So with that being said, because I'm really deep into crypto right now, if some shit happened like that, my crypto wouldn't be accessible, right? Now, it kind of put an idea in my head which makes me want to get out of crypto once I make the big bag because I have full conviction I'm going to have at least $250,000 to $500,000 on the low end by the end of 2025 with my crypto bag, as long as I don't fumble and be dumb and greedy. With that being said, taking a large portion of that money and investing it into practical things I can still use daily, but also what would help me out in a situation like this. For example, guns and ammo. For example, a big ass crib, a bulletproof G-Wagon, and I had something else. Other than like food, like stocking that shit up, whatever, for like doomsday. Of course I want a bunker, but there was a big thing. I know. Gold. To bring it back to the old nigga, he was onto something, and having gold in small quantities and being able to pay people for that shit, just in case shit did go down, those gonna be my priorities in that shit. But this was just a lit ass video because it brought to life the idea that I've been having for a while, and just makes me want to get more guns, a fat ass house, my bulletproof G-Wagon, all that shit to prepare. And honestly, it's not to prepare against like China, it's for my fucking neighbors. You know, I gotta be the nigga if it's us against each other. If there's no more structure or straight chaos, I just gotta protect myself. However, I'll probably get into that later on in another crypto video. In terms of taking my crypto out into money, into assets, and whatever this shit. However, this was a pretty dope video. I mean, made me think, gave awareness, and brought some real ideas to life. So that's it. I'll catch you in another one. Peace, bitch.